All right, so today we're going to finish up these notes. We're going to be graphing all of them. So again, we had to find the asymptotes, your x and y intercepts, and then figure out how to graph them. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to skip 4 and 11 because those have holes in them. So we're going to come back to them at the very end. So to find my vertical asymptote, remember you set your bottom equal to 0 and solve it. So I get plus or minus 2. Horizontal, we're following the rules. The bottom has a higher exponent, so you get 0. X-intercept is top equal to 0. Remember, if the x-intercept 0, 0, the y-intercept has to be 0, 0. So I'm going to go ahead and find this information for number 5 and for number 6. If you want to go ahead and do it, pause the video, come back and make sure that you found all of them correctly too. All right, so hopefully you already found them. And you got that your vertical asymptote is the cube root of 1, which is 1. Horizontal, same, so we divide. And x and y intercepts were 0, 0. This here, my vertical asymptote does not exist. Horizontal asymptote is at 0, and there's no x-intercept, so it should not hit my x-axis, and my y-intercept is going to be at 4. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and graph these now. Let me fold my paper so I have enough room on here for you. So for number 3, I'm going to put my dotted lines at 2 and negative 2. And a 0. Since this goes through the 0, 0 line, I'm pretty sure it's going to be like one of these crazy ones that go like this. So it'll be down, here, and then up. But we're going to test it just to make sure. So negative 2.1, negative 1.9, 1.9, and 2.1. Smallest to largest, you're plugging it into the function here. So again, remember, if you want to use your graphing, use a calculator. I'm just plugging in negative 2.1 into here. So you could do it on the top if you want, that's positive, and you could just do it on the bottom by itself if you wanted to get the answer. A number bigger than 2 squared should stay bigger than 4. See, so it's a positive. This is a negative, oh wait, why did I put it positive? It's a negative 2.1 on top. So that's a negative on top, which makes this negative. So this is a negative on top, and then you can put it in the bottom. It's going to be a negative also, because a number smaller than 1 squared. Oh, lordy. What am I doing here? Don't do this. There we go. See, number smaller than 2 squared is going to stay smaller than 4. So negative over negative is a positive. Plugging in 1.9, I'm going to get plus and a minus. I'm plugging in 2.1 is a positive on top and a positive on bottom. So if you're unsure, just plug it in like I did right here. You'd plug in 1.9 into the bottom. See, it's negative. And when you put 1.9 on the top, it's a positive. So that's why you get those answers. So in order to graph these now, I'm going to graph negative means it's pointing down here. So you put it in this quadrant. The middle always go together. So it's a plus minus. So positive up and a minus down. And then a plus is up here in the top right corner. So that's your graph for number 3. Graph for number 5. I'm going to fold my paper. So for number 5, I'm going to put my asymptote at 1, at 2, 0, 0. So since the dot's right there, I'm 90% sure that it's going to come through here and come up here. We can check 1, the vertical asymptote, just to be sure. Plug in 0.99 and 1.01. So top, that's a positive. On bottom, that will be a negative. Yep. And then we're going to get a positive on top and a positive on bottom. And if you're unsure how I'm getting these in my head, you can plug them in your calculator. 2.99 to a power of 3. See, that's a positive number. And then 0.99 to a power of 3 minus 1. See, it's a negative. So a positive divided by a negative, that's why I got a negative number there. Oh, go through the 0, 0. Don't be a bad grapher like me. And number 6 gets really tricky for us. I love number 6. So number 6, there's no vertical asymptote. Horizontal asymptote is at 0. There's no x-intercept, and my y-intercept's here. So these are all I know, is that I have a dotted line at here, and I have a dot here. So what happens in this case is that we should make an XY chart. See right here. If all else fails, make a T chart. So since I know something happens at the intercept, I'm going to just try numbers on either side of that. So we know 0 is 4. So plug in -2. So I'm going to have 4 over 5. These numbers are going to get too close. I just did my -2 squared plus 1. So it's a 4 on top and a 5 on bottom. Now plug in -1. I'm going to have a 4 on top and a 2 on bottom. And then these will be the same answer because you're squaring them. So let's plot these dots. So 1, 2, 1, 2. So 2, we're at 4/5. So you see this kind of looks like a hill. That's exactly what it is. You have to follow the dotted line, hit your points, and then come back to following the dotted line again. So I call it like a little bell. It looks like a little hill. So when your vertical asymptote does not exist, you're going to get a weird answer like this one here. So why don't you guys pause the video and find your VA and HA for 7, 8, 9, and 10. Come back here and make sure you get the same thing I got on all of them. I'm going to try to quickly work through them on here since I don't have a pause button. When you factor this right here, it gives me an intercept of 0, 0. So y is 0, 0 also. Intercepts are 0, 0. Vertical asymptote down here is plus or minus 4. So then all right, so if you need to pause at any point, always pause the video. You should just be checking. That's why I wrote so fast and didn't do it. So you should have already done these, and that's why I went through really quickly to write down what my answers are for them. So just the bottom equaling 0, following my rules, top equals 0, and then plugging in 0 to get all these answers. So let's go back and graph number 8, or graph number 7, sorry. We have to do 7 first. So number 7, I'm going to have add a half is this one. Since there's no HA, I need to do end behavior. So I divide this and I get y equals 1/2 x. So you just make it look a little less steep than our other lines, but still just as a diagonal line. And then I'm going to try, I'll plug in 0, 0 here. And all right, so I'm going to plug in 0.4 and 0.6. And you can just grab your calculator if you need like this and plug in 0.4 into the top. Positive, obviously, right? Because you're squaring it and adding numbers, so it's a positive. Do it on bottom. Should be a negative. So positive divided by a negative. And then you plug in your 0.6, it's going to be a positive over a positive. So you can check it in your calculator if you need. So negative means I'm coming from the bottom down here, and I have to hit these two dots. This one looks kind of crazy. Watch. So it goes through the dots, and then it follows the dotted line. Isn't that crazy? The plus means it's just up here. Why does this look like it's a... Oh, that's my x-axis. So there. So those are your two graphs for 7. For 8 again, we have no vertical, so you would do your t-chart of plugging them in. So it's 0, 0. So if I plug in -2, I get -2 over was that 5? Plug in -1, I get -1 over 2. Plug in +1, I get 1 over 2, positive 2. All right, so for number 8, I'm going to go ahead and we also have an asymptote right here have a dot 0, 0 that went through here, and plot these other dots. Follow the dotted line, hit your dots, follow the dotted line for them. Okay, so number 9 down here, we have lots of things to plot this time. So I'm going to plot my plus and minus 4. So I have negatives, I have 5, 0, negative half 0, and then like right here. So this tells me I'm probably going through here, down here, and up here. So you could test though for negative 4.1, negative 3.9, 3.9, and 4.1. So if you need to, you can plug it in your calculator, the negative 4.9, or negative 4.1, I mean, like this. You get a positive over a positive. So a positive number divided by a positive number is a positive number. When I plug in negative 3.9, those of us who aren't using our calculator, I'm going to get a negative here and a negative here. So negative divided by negative. And then I put it down here, and that's going to be a negative because that's smaller than 4. So when you square it, it's going to say smaller than 16. So here, when I plug in positive 3.9, that's a plus and a minus on top. Then on bottom, it's still a minus. So we get a plus here, a minus here, a plus here. Plug in 4.1, it goes plus, minus, and then plus. So we need to do plus, minus, plus, minus. So the plus is up here, minus to plus. Remember, these always group together. So minus to plus, and then a minus down here. All right, almost done. This is a long video. I'm just going to skip number 10. I'll show you how to use your calculator. How about that? Those of you who have graphing calculators. So make sure you put a parenthesis on top, and you put a parenthesis on bottom. And I'm going to put a standard window in, and this is what your graph looks like. See? So your asymptotes are at 3, negative 3. The x-intercepts hits here at 1/4. The y hits at 1/9. And there's your graph. All right, now to graph 4 in 11. I'll make my line right here a lot bigger. So you have to remember factor your top and bottom to make sure nothing cancels on them. So when I factor my top and bottom, the x minus 2 is going to cancel. So I have created a hole at x equals 2. My function that is left is x plus 2 over 3. X plus 2 over 3. So that's the question I'm going to answer everything about. So this is the same thing as saying 1/3 of x plus 2, which is the same as 1/3 of x plus 2/3. So what really has happened is that we've now put it down to a line. So we know how to graph lines. Remember, you start at your y-intercept, you move your slope. So this is just going to be an estimate. So start at my y-intercept, go up 1 over 3. But there's a hole at 2. So wherever 2 is going to hit on my line, right about here, you can plug 2 into this too if you want to get the exact answer. Or you could do 1/3 times 2, and then you'll know the exact y-intercept's at 4/3 right there. But that's about what that is right there. So you just graph your line and make a hole at that number. Down here again, at the factor first, pull out my x. So a hole has been created at x equals -1 because it's the opposite. And you just need to graph y equals x because that's all that's left. So that starts at 0, 0, up 1 over 1 is the slope. And at -1, there's a hole. So there you go. Sorry for the long video.